let me introduce you to the personal work charter canvas. So this was developed because there's a lot of team canvases out there and a lot of team building kind of activities, which are great, right? We should have team charters or social agreements between teams. But what I felt was missing, and I noticed that there's a lot of friction in organizations caused by this, is those personal nuances between how we each individually like to work. And what often happens is one person likes to work one way versus another. And because we don't have a shared understanding or we don't have transparency about those small nuances in how we like to work, friction ends up forming. For example, maybe somebody is the type of person who likes to pick up the phone and call people, but the other person doesn't like being interrupted and people calling them on the phone. They prefer asynchronous communication. They prefer the person to message them. And all that ends up happening is one person's frustrated at the other one because they keep trying to call them and they're not picking up the phone. And the other one keeps getting their phone ringing. They're like, why do you keep calling me on my phone? Can you just message me or email me or Slack message me about what you want? And this friction forms. So those personal nuances become really, really important. The other thing that I've run into a lot inside organizations is when you're new and you've joined in an organization, or maybe you have a new team member in the organization, is just a way to get to know people and not just get to know them on a personal level, which I've got another canvas for, which will be a future video. But getting to know them on a personal level is one thing, and that's important. The other one is actually getting to know all of those little small nuances about how they like to work. So as a result of all of that and working with lots of different teams, lots of different clients, lots of different companies around the world as part of my consultant and advisory work, I've come up with this, the personal work charter. So the way that this charter works, just to walk you through it, is that it really starts with how you like to work. So this first section over on the left here is just a free text section. The idea behind this section is to just put in a summary, few key bullet points about how you like to work. What are those key elements about how you like to work? This also acts as a bit of a catch-all section for any nuances in how you like to work that doesn't fit into any of the other categories. So some examples here are things like, I like to work independently, or maybe I like to work collaboratively, like I need that energy of someone to bounce ideas off. The next one could be that, something that doesn't fit into all the other sections would be something like, if I have my headphones on, don't disturb me. That's my signal that I'm focusing. I'm in, my focus mode, heads down. So please don't disturb me if you see that. Other things that might fall into this is one that I got from an ex-colleague of mine who's over at Google. He was talking about there's people who are think to talk people versus those who are a talk to think person. So as an example, some people like to spend a lot of time thinking about it before they start talking about something. As a result, when they do say something and you start asking questions about it, like what about this and what about that? They're sitting there thinking, I've put all this thought into it. I've considered everything that you're talking about. You're bugging me. Stop asking me all these questions. On the flip side, there's the talk to think people, which are generally the people who are asking all those questions. These are people who they like to bounce ideas off, or they just have this open monologue kind of constantly running. What about this? Oh no, that wouldn't work. What about this? Nah, that wouldn't work either. I totally forgot about that. And this kind of like running monologue. I'm semi one of those people. And these people can be highly frustrating to the think to talk people. And the think to talk people can be really frustrating to the talk to think people because they're like, come on, bounce off me. But the other person's like, no, I don't want to bounce off you. Like, what are you trying to do, right? So this could be another thing or just another example of another nuance that is worth putting into this section. Now, the next section, it's up to you whether you go to this section next or you go to the principles section. So you could either go to how to interact with me as a section, or you could go to the center and go with your work principles. So let's just jump to the principles because I like to do this one next and then go to the interaction. So work principles are all about what are those principles that you have that are going to guide you with how you like to work. Now, these are generally principles you already have. They might not be explicit principles yet, but just think about some of the things that help guide your decision-making about how you like to work and see if they actually turn into a principle or not. Equally, if you want to, you can put principles in here that you want to adhere to, like principles that you hope to inspire or embody. if you're not already. But typically these will be your already principles that you have about work. So I'll give you some examples. So an example could be like a bias for action, right? So you might be one of those people that have a bias for action, and that's one of your work principles, meaning that you want to spend less time talking about things, and there's going to be a point in time where you're like, we actually need to get on with it, and we actually need to actually start doing something, right? So that is a bias for action. And if that's a principle for yours, then you will always be pushing the team and pushing those around you to do something, to enact on something, to have some type of action, as opposed to just sitting back and waiting, because that's your principle. Equally, you might also have another principle about being collaborative. So it means that you don't like doing things alone, which means that ends up guiding how you end up working, how you work with other people. You always try to include other people into things, into decisions, into the way that you work. You really rarely want to do something independently and by yourself. Other principles might be around like being a pacemaker and always trying to push for, think bigger and better, and trying to always push the team to aspire to more and achieve more and those types of things. But the reason why getting your principles down on paper is so valuable is people start to understand, well, when you're pushing us to enact on something, I now know that it is actually just one of your principles of how you like to work. And that is guiding your decision making to say, hey, time out, team. We've got to start to build something, or need to start making something. We can keep talking forever. And if somebody doesn't have that principle, they might be frustrated by your statement there, or your push to have a bias for action. But now unearthing those things and being able to know that, oh, hey, it's just one of your principles, we now have a greater understanding and empathy for each other with those nuances between how we like to work. Now, your next section is how to interact with me. So this is a section for other people. This is your opportunity to really outline some boundaries, some ways of working, or some expectations that you have on others for how you would like them to interact with you. So some examples here. Your calendar, or how to book meetings with you, would be something that could sit in here. How to interact with me in terms of booking a meeting with me. What are those ground rules? Are you the type of person that's like, don't book meetings last minute? If you want time with me today, and you hadn't booked time like yesterday for me or before, then what are those ground rules? My typical ground rules for that is ping me. If you don't reach out and message me and actually ask me about whether I have time at that time and before booking that meeting in, if you just throw an invite into my calendar, I will most likely decline it. And that is something that I would put in there with the how to interact with me. And that's because a booking an 11 a.m. meeting at 9 a.m. in the morning, I have my day planned and I likely have something on at that time, whether that's a meeting or some other item of work that I have planned to do in that time. And if you haven't reached out to me, you've ruined my plans. And if I always stay reactive to everybody else, then my days aren't going to be effective. Other things you might have in here about how to interact with me might be things about how you would like people to collaborate with you. Like you would like people to show early drafts to you. Or maybe you're the type of person that actually don't show me an early draft. I want to see the final version or something like that, right? What are some of those things about how you'd like people to interact with you? Again, this is a great opportunity for you to set some of those ground rules and start to set some expectations, or at least create some transparency about the expectations that you have on others, so then they can hopefully be able to take that on board and be able to meet those expectations. The next section is about how decisions will be made. Now, I added this one in here because this is often in team canvases or team charters or social contracts within teams. And this is because one of the biggest sources of friction points I have observed in teams and organizations is how decisions are made. Or, to be more specific, a lack of clarity about how we're going to make decisions as a group and as a team. As a result, we didn't feel included, as an example, or some stakeholder wasn't included in that decision. And then they become frustrated by that. And because we didn't have clarity that, hey, I wasn't going to include you in it, or we didn't have clarity that, hey, you actually want to be included. So I didn't know, so I didn't include you. That then causes a lot of that friction. So even though you might have a team charter that already outlines how you're going to make decisions as a group, this section's still important because as an individual, you're still going to make decisions. And then I also extend this section to leadership roles. So if you're in a management position, you're also going to have things come to you where you need to make decisions perhaps on the behalf of other people. And you might also have things that you decide to delegate to other people. So this section then becomes your opportunity to create transparency about how those things are going to happen. If you're making decisions on behalf of other people, for example, you're a team manager and you're making decisions on behalf of your team, you can create transparency about how you're going to go about making those decisions because it impacts other people and they should probably know how you are going to decide to make that decision. So an example of this would be any decision affecting the team, we will actually do it as a group vote. I won't make the decision solely on your behalf. I will always bring it to the group as a vote. Another example would be any of these types of decisions, like any technical decision that comes to me, I'm going to delegate it to the tech lead, or I'm going to delegate it to person A as the main person to deal with those decisions. Again, creating transparency that you're going to delegate those things and that that person is empowered to make those decisions. Now, if you're not in a management position, you can still fill out this section and it's still valuable because you can say things like, well, I will always strive to make decisions collaboratively and bring others together. Or perhaps you will always strive to get data in order to inform your decisions, those types of things. You might even say, I will always try to include person A, person B, and person C. Again, creating some more clarity around how decisions are going to be made. But primarily this section is actually mostly aimed at people in more of those leadership positions. This also goes for people like the design lead, tech lead, and product manager or product owner and those types of roles inside teams. Because although you might not have direct people management responsibilities, you are, again, in a leadership role where you are making decisions. So this can help create that transparency to the rest of the team about what they can expect from you in terms of how you go about making those decisions. Now, the next two sections down the right-hand side is about how you like to communicate and how you want others to communicate with you. So starting with how you like to communicate. So this section is all about what is your preferred communication style? So some examples here would be, are you the type of person who prefers face-to-face meetings perhaps? Maybe you're the type of person who likes to pick up the phone and call someone. Or maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum. Maybe you're the type of person who prefers like a Slack message or somebody to DM you or send you a text message even. I prefer it to go to text instead of Slack because I have notifications muted on that or something like that, right? I don't have it installed on my phone. Those types of things is what you want to outline in these types of sections. And how you like to communicate is really powerful because you can start to tell others like, hey, I prefer to communicate via Slack, not via email. I won't send emails unless I really, really have to. Other things could be I prefer asynchronous communication. So again, Slack messages, DMs, those types of things over a synchronous form of communication, like a phone call or a face-to-face conversation or a meeting. So book meetings as a last resort, as an example. So that's how these two sections kind of go together. But this is your opportunity to outline how you like to communicate first, and then how you would like others to communicate with you. So some personal examples here on these ones. So I personally prefer asynchronous forms of communication. So I put that in the how I like to communicate section. I only check emails at the start and end of the day. So any form of communicating with me during the day should be done via Slack and DMs as opposed to emails because I don't check those regularly throughout the day. So now moving on to how to communicate with me. Just like I said, send those Slack messages, not emails, is my preferred method. So don't email, please DM me as a preferred method. And again, also please try and aim for asynchronous forms of communication. I'll much prefer a DM with a message about what you want over somebody trying to call me directly because the call just interrupts my flow and interrupts my day. I prefer to be able to respond to that message in my time when it works for me. Other things you might want to put in here are things like if you forward a meeting invite to me, please clearly articulate why you forwarded to me and what value you believe I can give to that meeting. And another thing that could fit inside here too could be, don't send me a meeting invite without an agenda and a reason behind it, right? So again, that expectation on how others communicate with you is I don't want you to communicate to me via a blank meeting invite. I want a purpose, an agenda, and an explanation. So then we have rituals. These are reoccurring things that happen within your week that affect the way that you work that you want to create transparency about. So for example, it could be that I don't work on Wednesdays. Or it could be that I have to do school pick up and drop off with my kids on Mondays and Tuesdays. So don't book any meetings before 10 o'clock with me, as an example. Other ones could be your core working hours. Like maybe you work flexibly, so your hours are different on certain days. Other things could be a no meeting day. So don't book meetings with me on a Friday, as an example. That is my no meetings day. These are rituals like that you want to create transparency about so other people are aware of them. So then you're not having to, basically always reply and push meetings around because people keep booking it over your no meetings day or school drop off or something like that. And then lastly, I added this section in after working with a leadership team where we did a big reflection activity about the words we use and culture and those types of things and how those two things can be interlinked to an extent. And the reflection that they had was that they weren't overly pleased with the words that they were using, that they could be more deliberate with the words that they were using to set a more positive work culture for the team. And so I decided to add this section in because I have seen firsthand the impact that the words that we use and how we choose to speak can have on a work culture and those around us. And some of us prefer certain words over others. For example, I hate the word resource. When people say, we need to just check what resources we have. I'm like, do you mean computers or do you mean people? Like, what are we talking about here? AWS servers or are we talking about actual people? Because if we're talking about people, let's talk about people. So that's just a personal one. So that's something that I will always try and use less of and try and actually say people more of, right? Like, let's try and call it what it is. So I just thought I'd add this section in because after working with that leadership team, I could see the impact that could make. And I've also run into some people like myself who have similar pet peeves, right? There's certain words that they don't like to use and they hate hearing inside organizations. And there's words that they prefer to use over others. So this section is purely optional, but it's a section for you to say, here's a bunch of words that I like to use less often. So these are words that I don't like to hear so much. And here are some words that I like to try and use more often as a replace of them. And this can just help create that transparency with those around you that, hey, like, I'm not a big fan of us calling other people resources. Can we just call them people? And that can resolve a lot of friction for you because they might not be fully aware that they're doing it. Equally, they're not fully aware that you don't like it. So again, this section can create that transparency around that and help them be able to empathize and maybe adapt their style to also accommodate for you. And that's that. That's the personal work charter in its current state. It is a tool purely designed for you to be able to articulate the nuances about how you like to work, your work preferences, how you like other people to interact with you, how you communicate, how others communicate with you, some of your rituals around your work-life construct. So it's a really great tool for people who are new to a team, people who are new to a new role, even existing teams. This is a really good tool to get your team to be able to, as a team building exercise, get the team to complete the charter each and then be able to come back together and share. And really this is all about helping each individuals inside the teams and those that you work with get to know you better, get to understand those nuances about how you like to work better. So then you can resolve a lot of the friction that occurs inside organizations, which is simply as a result of just not knowing these things. Like, I didn't know that you don't like meetings on a Friday and I keep booking meetings on a Friday and no wonder you're not happy with my meetings and you're not happy with me right now. So let's get these things out on the table and make these things more visible and transparent. And that's why I created this tool, purely for that reason. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes. I would love to hear feedback on it as well because I'd love to iterate on this and continuously improve this canvas. I've done it as a Creative Commons license as well, so feel free to adapt it, reuse it, whatever you want to do to your needs. I originally built this to help myself and help my clients, and I'm just basically extending the goodwill out to the world. So it's completely up for you, up for grabs. Reuse it, rip it apart. I just hope you get value out of it and others get value out of it. So yeah, again, give me some feedback and I'd love to improve it and make it better and make it even more valuable for others. So I hope you find it valuable and thanks for watching.